The sleight of hand continues. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's your boy Ski, aka Devin. I do the crypto news and analysis. I've called 9 bottoms on the day. 8 times I was correct on the day. 1 time I was incorrect. I go over the daily news and analysis, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you never miss a video. Without any further ado, let's bring the daily action. It is June 1st, 2025. We're going to start it off here with USDT increased market cap by more than $5 billion versus its competitors. And this is what I want to talk about in sort of the point that's being driven by me, but not by the narrative. And that is how quickly a narrative can change. Because if you've been in this game for long enough, you would know that the Tether FUD is crazy. The Tether FUD is astronomical. And every pullback that we got in crypto, it seemed like there was Tether FUD until, I guess what? We have something new to talk about, and we're not going to talk about that anymore. But if you've been in crypto long enough, any period of time, you would know any dip that we get, there's been Tether FUD. And it seems to have been replaced all of a sudden with Terra FUD. And the irony of it all is definitely not lost on me. Now, a little bit less good news, if you will, is France charges 25 suspects, including 6 minors, over a crypto kidnapping attempts. 18 are in pre-trial detention after multiple abduction attempts. This is kind of crazy, kind of scary that crypto has gotten to this point where they're kidnapping people and torturing them. Insane. Definitely. Obviously, not an advocate of any of that, but I'll keep you guys updated on this story as it proceeds. Tron mainnet block briefly halted due to a dispatch error. Issue fixed. The full report is coming out on this. And again, I don't care what the blockchain is, whether it's Solana, when they have their mainnet issues, or whether it is Ethereum, or whether it's TON in this particular case. I'm not a fan of it, and it is not the ethos of cryptocurrency and decentralization. I don't think it's the end of the world. We've definitely seen other cryptocurrencies halt their mainnet, but I don't like it. I don't like it, bro. All right, this is a big one. Bitcoin ETF inflows overtake gold ETF in May. 5.25 billion of net inflows for Bitcoin and 1.5 billion of net outflows for gold. So Bitcoin slowly, surely, exponentially. We've showed the ranking of where Bitcoin stands on everything else, but slowly, surely, exponentially pecking away at becoming the world's largest asset. Obviously, right now it is gold with over $20 trillion, but Bitcoin making its claim. All right, this is Coinbase partners with Ethereum to fight crypto-fueled cyber crime targets illicit use of digital assets. I'm always super skeptical of Big Brother telling us, like, hey, we're here to protect you. Don't worry. The big guys are here. So I'm always super skeptical of this type of news. We'll see what this comes of this, but it seems to me the classic case of create a problem that does not exist and sell you the solution, right? We've seen this playbook before, but we'll see. And I'm also skeptical of Big Brother clamoring down their hands of like, do it our way or the highway. But we'll keep an eye on this. This is why you should definitely know how to maneuver and operate cryptocurrency on the decentralized way and not need Coinbase's permission to operate. I'm a huge advocate of this. If this prevents people from getting scammed and getting their money stolen, I'm definitely an advocate of that. But also, I'm always wary of these sort of little things that get slipped in. All right, U.S. inflation is dropping again. It's now below the Fed's 2% target rate. And something of note, the word around the campfire is Jay Peasy here is going to resign. To me, that would be a big deal. If he were to resign, he seems to be the last frontier of holding off the cutting of interest rates. By the way, what they call inflation is the biggest scam known to man. But what they're reporting as inflation is below 2%. I would find it very interesting and definitely something of note if Jerome Powell were to resign, that means that Trump would appoint his person, would obviously or likely have the understanding that, hey, it's time to cut interest rates. Money printer go burr. And again, the hook of this video, the sleight of hand. Retail is over here focused on the tariffs. Meanwhile, the exchanges do not have, they have record lows of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Look over here. Meanwhile, BlackRock is buying record levels of Ethereum and Bitcoin. Look over here at the tariffs. Meanwhile, Bitcoin just made an all-time high last week. So what does this mean? Price equals supply plus demand. If the exchanges do not have the supply to issue their customers, this means that the institutions cannot buy things over the counter. And this will quite literally, eventually, cause a supply squeeze. And I just want to sum up where retail is in this market, right? Here's an oversimplification of where retail is. They have this like Bitcoin's climbing from 70K to 80K, nothing, not a peep. To 90K, nothing, not a peep. 100K, not a peep from retail. 105, 110, we break all-time highs. And they're like, wait a minute, are we sure about this? Are we sure? And then we have a little bit of a correction back to 105. The altcoins pull back. Ethereum during the same time was up 100%. It pulls back 12%. And it's like, see, I knew better than to trust it. I knew better than to believe this. Why do I even get my hopes up? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call a disbelief rally. That's what this is. That's what we are experiencing from retail. We know this. Retail's not in this game. We know this because Coinbase, not even the top 300. Robinhood, not even the top 300. Bitcoin searched on Google Trends, not even the top. It's at bear market lows. We know that retail is not in this game, and this is what we call a disbelief rally. Here's how retail feels right now. Bitcoin's at an all-time high. Meanwhile, the altcoins, even though, Ethereum just went up 100%, but, it's no big deal. And with that, let's get into the charts. We're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, ZBEC, amongst other things. All right, as of the time of recording, Bitcoin is sitting at $105,400. We've had a clear breakout back test, and I've talked about this. I think that Bitcoin is going to find support here. It looks like we're getting a little bit of support here, about to cross back to the upside on the daily RSI, and we've already had a cross to the upside on the 5-hour chart. I'm a big fan of the 5-hour chart, and we can see there's a pretty decent correlation between a cross to the upside when we're down here in the dumps, aka below 30% on the RSI, and getting a cross. There's a nice little move on Bitcoin, 12%. Here was another one. This wasn't even all the way down in the 30s. But we see even stronger correlation, 10% to the upside. And we just had a cross to the upside for Bitcoin. So I anticipate a minimum of an 8 to 10% move for Bitcoin. And again, so 8% would make us at a new all-time high. That would basically be at $116,000, which my medium target is $118,000. I don't think Bitcoin is the play here. I think reasonably Bitcoin gets to 138,000. That's my medium case, most highly probable scenario. And I think that we could get to $207,000. So we're talking 50 to 100% ROI. I don't think that that's the play. But when we take a peep over here at Ethereum, we have the same thing. And this cross to the upside on the 5-hour chart definitely is at play. Here was the last time that we did it. And what we'll see is an immediate 14% move on Ethereum. Same thing here, cross to the upside, immediate 18% move. So I think something like that definitely is in order. We have a huge macro bull flag for Ethereum, and we couldn't even print a higher low. We're finding support here yet again at the bottom of this parallel channel, and I anticipate a minimum a move to the upside to about 2,800, and we'll see if there's enough juice, there's enough oomph for Ethereum to really break out. But Ethereum even getting to 2,800, even to 3,000, I think is going to be more than enough for Bitcoin dominance, which right now is struggling with the 702 retracement. You had the UTAD, in my opinion, which is the absolute top, the spring, the reverse of the spring of course, what I'm talking. This, in my opinion, is what Bitcoin Dominance is working on. Your buying climax, the up thrust goes higher, the UTAD goes even higher. That, to me, is what Bitcoin Dominance has done. When we zoom out a little bit, we can kind of see all of these phases have taken place for Bitcoin Dominance. You have your first big plunge here, retracing to the 618 Fibonacci retracement. In my opinion, this is where Bitcoin Dominance is, and what I want to see is us start to roll over, and we're about to get across to the downside on Dominance. And like I said, all it's really going to take is Ethereum getting to 3,000, and we're going to have a lower low, in all likelihood, to about 62%. XRP is at a pretty critical level. It's been honoring this trend line for a while. I think that there's a reasonable plausibility that XRP pulls back to $1.80. That's not what I'm predicting, and I want to give you guys the context of where I stand on XRP. XRP is one of my second largest holdings. However, I accumulated at 20 and 30 cents, and I already sold 40% of my XRP publicly with video evidence at $3.33. 40% of my XRP was sold. So that's where I stand, my spot value on XRP. If we get the opportunity back to $1.80, I will start to add to my spot position again. But the highest probability, in my opinion, is we are going to get caught here where we're at right now. This was the micro low at $2. I don't think we're going to go below that. And I think we're going to micro retrace to $2.43. Ultimately, over the next year or so, I think XRP gets to $5, $8, and $12. If I didn't give you my Ethereum targets, it's 3,300, 7,200, and 12,000. Those are my high, medium, low. And let's take a look at ZBEC, because everyone's like, oh, Ski, should we be buying ZBEC? And my answer to that is, this is classic Wyckoff accumulation. And I mean, literally, this is textbook from the text. If I pull up Wyckoff accumulation, this is distribution. Here is accumulation. This is from the text. Textbook accumulation. Accumulation is where you want to be buying. ZBEC gave you a year of this accumulation, a year of this price. This is no longer accumulation. This is the markup. My first target was half of a penny. We already hit that. My second target was 7/10 of a penny, and we're about to hit that as well. So in my opinion, if you took the opportunity that ZBEC gave you for an entire year, it gave you an entire year to get this price, and you're sitting on a 7x, congratulations, bravo. I would strongly consider taking profit, not maybe necessarily everything, but at least your initial investment plus a guaranteed profit. If you do not have a position in ZBEC, I think reasonably we will get to about a penny. But hear me. That's only like 30-40% move from here. I literally think that Bitcoin will do that. I would not add to my position on ZBEC if I had no position. I would only be exiting, in my opinion, in Wyckoff, the phase E, which is what we call the markup phase. This is where ZBEC is, in my opinion, somewhere in here. That's only for taking profit. It's not for adding. The next phase is going to go into distribution, which is a topping structure, and then you're going to go back down into the markdown, which is what we call a bear market. I would not add to my position if I have nothing. I would not FOMO in here. If you do have a position, great, bravo. Consider taking your initial out and then letting the profits ride. Obviously, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. All that yada yada blah blah blah. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me for more. You savages.